This is the case of Raven Yates, and she's finally been arrested. If you want to know more about this case, please continue watching.
You are watching Roll a Mile in My Shoes TV.
For those of you who may not be familiar with the story of Raven Yates, she is the mother who left her two children alone, which at the time were 12 years old and 3 years old. She left them home alone for 2 months plus on end, and the child, who was 12 years old, had to call the father for food to be delivered to the house. And she was afraid that if anyone found out that she was leaving the two of them home, they would be separated from each other since they had different fathers. Now, I commend this 12-year-old for being able to do as much as she did for her little brother, because even though she was 12, she was able to, through lying, of course, get them food and everything. But fortunately, Miss Yates' cover was blown when the father of the 12-year-old saw her in Alabama without her kids. And that is when he and his ex-mother-in-law started putting two and two together and noticed that things didn't add up. And the fact that the 12-year-old was calling and asking him to send money for food, because of course they were left at home without the basic necessities and things to care for themselves. So the child did the only thing she could think of, which was call and lie to her father to get food for her and her little brother. I know I may sound like a broken record when I say this, and I know many people have heard me say this time and time again, but I feel like if you don't want kids or you're not mentally prepared to have kids, stop laying down and making the decisions that create kids. Or, if you still want to participate in those activities, take some form of birth control, get your tubes tied. There are many measures you can take to not have kids. But I believe that as a mother of two kids who did not have their father in the home for whatever reason that may be, she might have been getting some type of financial support for both of these kids. And so instead of doing what she was supposed to do and take care of her kids, she wanted to go and live her best life and be this social media personality. And that is what she did. And the whole time she was on the run, she was continuing to post to Instagram, acting like she didn't know that there was a warrant out for her arrest or that anyone noticed that she had left her kids alone at home by themselves for months on end, which I could not see how you can be a mother worth anything or a parent at all worth anything and leave your children home alone, unattended, or even just leave your kids anywhere and not know if they're okay, dead or alive or anything. And that to me makes me feel like that she shouldn't even be called a mother or anything. She should just be called the giver of life to these kids at this point, because she did not care about her kids. And it's sad that the dad, who was all the way in California, had to send money or food to his child that was in a whole nother state. And her claims for this, for leaving her kids and leaving them home for months on end, was that she was afraid the dad was going to kill her and all of these things. So you mean to tell me, you being afraid that the father of your child was going to kill you, you didn't think, oh, let me take my children with me so they can be safe as well? No, that was not her thought. Her thought was to go and do whatever she was doing, because at the time they caught her, which you'll see in the news clip that I posted later, they caught her at an older gentleman's house. I'm not sure if this was one of her regular customers, if you catch my drift, or if this was someone she was in a situationship with. I don't know. But they caught her at this man's house and they had to break down the door to get to her. And this is what you'll hear here.
When she was arrested 3 states away.
Yeah, kind of a bizarre photo there. Well, officers found Raven Yates in Alabama more than 2 months after she vanished.
ABC 13's Brianna Connor is getting new facts on her arrest. And Brianna, what's next for this woman?
Raven Yates still needs to be processed in Mobile, Alabama, before she's brought back here to Montgomery County to face the charges against her. Detectives working this case had been looking for Yates for about 3 months. I'm told law enforcement in Mobile had to break down the bedroom door of an older man's apartment to find her.
The popularity of it got a lot of people interested in it.
Raven Yates gained thousands of followers and has been trending on social media ever since she made headlines for accusations of abandonment. Roman Forest police say she left her 12-year-old daughter and 3-year-old son all alone for 2 months. Investigators say they had to fend for themselves with little food or medicine at this house on Maplewood Ridge Drive while Yates lived in Alabama.
I've never seen anything like that, and I've never seen anybody play into the camera and play into the social media as she has.
The entire time, Yates was posting provocative images like these online while fully aware there was a warrant out for her arrest. Roman Forest Police Chief Stephen Carlisle says tips poured in from the public, and that's what eventually led to her arrest in Mobile. This photo capturing Yates in cuffs and seemingly unbothered by the allegations that she put her own children in danger.
I think was playing for the camera. She wanted to have a smile. She wanted to look good.
Yates' 12-year-old is with her father, who lives out of state. Police say the child was afraid to tell her dad what was happening at first because she was worried she'd be separated from her brother, who has a different dad. At last check, Yates' other children were safe with relatives while she prepares to head back home now.
We're waiting for her to be extradited back to Montgomery County, and then, of course, we'll be able to interview her and find out her side of the story, and we'll go from there.
If convicted, she could spend 20 years behind bars and away from social media attention. In Montgomery County, I'm Brianna Connor, ABC 13 Eyewitness News.
Now, when she first went missing and it was all news and headlines, her brother spoke out and said that people don't really know everything and that it's not always what it seems, and the normal stuff that a brother is supposed to say when he's defending his sister. But my question is to you and the rest of the family: nobody thought to ever check on the kids during birthdays, holidays, or even to just call the kids and say, hey, what are y'all up to? Just to see, if they were even, alive before she even left them. Because if memory serves me correctly, she had another child that ran away, who is, I believe, 14 years of age. That child ran away, and nobody thought to look into like the home, the living situation, to see what are some of the things that's going on. Because I believe that she is going to try to use what a lot of people use in these situations, and that's mental illness, to try to cover her ass for what she's done when she left her 2 children, the 3 and the 12-year-old, at home for all this time, and left them with no food, no other supplies like medicine, Band-Aids, even just hell, clean clothes and socks at the least. I mean, when the police searched the house, I believe they said in the news clip, all they found were dried beans and things like that. And there was very little of that, if memory serves me correctly. My other question is, how did she get away with not being having these children enrolled in school for all this time? I understand that some people say, they're gonna homeschool their kids and this, that, and the third, but nobody checks on these kids to make sure that they're at least progressing in the homeschool system, if that was the case. Or even if that wasn't the case, nobody checked on these kids when, they moved to Alabama. I think Texas, I'm sorry. I think there should be some balances and checks when things like that happen. When a parent moves from one state to the other, the school and people like that should call and say, hey, these kids or this child was withdrawn from our school system in this county and state on this date. Can y'all check to make sure that they're going to school and that they're being enrolled in some kind of homeschool? I feel like that should at least be a system that needs to be implemented to make sure that kids are okay and that their parents are not just covering their tracks to do whatever they want just because they move from one state to another. I honestly believe that just because she got caught this time, that was not the first, the second, or the third time she has left those kids home alone like that by themselves, though. And I wonder what her brother has to say now after all of this has happened, and now that he knows what, is really going on. That is, if he actually knows what's really going on. I wonder what he has to say and how does he feel about this now. And I hope and pray that, the little girl's efforts to keep her and her brother together because they had separate fathers, I hope that did work and they weren't separated. Because I know that she probably, wanted to be with all of her siblings all together. So hopefully that can happen. And if not, hopefully they can, visit each other regularly so they can kind of grow up together somewhat, together as a family, as siblings, like they, like they normally should. And I just hope that whoever the lawyer is that takes on this case does not advise or let her plead insanity for to get off for what she's done, because I honestly don't believe anything is wrong with this lady, even though she's looking like a total nutcase in this picture here. I honestly do not believe anything is wrong with her, because she wasn't doing all this when she was taking all these pictures half naked and showing off her body. I don't think anything is wrong with her, and I think, they shouldn't let her plead insanity. But I'm glad that she got arrested, and hopefully she'll get the maximum sentence for the crimes that she's committed. But I do have to say one thing though. Even though the kids were left home alone for this amount of time, I'm happy that she did not end the children's lives just so she could go out and party and live her best life. So that is one good side to this. But my other question would be, why didn't she just, drop the kids off to her mother or somebody, that she knew where they could be all together and say, hey, I need a break. I'm gonna go and party for a few days, or I'm gonna go and do whatever. She could have made up a lie and say she was going somewhere for a few days to clear her head, and I'm pretty sure somebody would have been willing to take these kids for a few days, hell, even this length of time, just to make sure they were okay, so that nothing like this would happen to them. But the good thing is the kids are okay and she's been arrested, so hopefully she'll face charges for her actions. It's women like her and so many other women who have kids and do things like abuse them and, just hurt them and do all kinds of horrible things to them, like, sex traffic them, take pictures of them and put them on the internet, or even force them to take pictures and, put them on the internet. And you can clearly see fear in, some of these kids. But it's women like her and people like that that make people say things like some people or all women need to take a test before they can be allowed to have kids. And even though I don't agree with that, it would save a lot of kids' lives. And people who actually want kids and can't have kids would love to have kids, and they aren't fortunate enough to be able to do that. And so this is what makes stories like this hard for me to talk about, because it makes me angry in a way, knowing that these kids were done this way and that so many people are still doing kids like this. And the sad part is they're getting away with it. The good part about her being arrested is that she could spend up to 20 years in prison for what she's done to her kids. Hopefully they'll charge her with abandonment and neglect as well, to stack some additional time on top of what she may already get in her sentencing. But unfortunately, that brings me to the end of this video, guys. If you like this video, please don't forget to don't forget to share this video, and please don't forget to leave me a comment. And if you are not subscribed, please make sure you subscribe. And all the information and articles that I used for this video will be listed down in the description box below. Until next time, guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.